Hello, my name is Gay. I'm also a volunteer at the Oahu Rapid Response Coalition. I want to thank you for joining us. I will be the person who is going to be leading the next few online training. This presentation is informational and not legal advice. I guess the first question that many people have is, how does the rapid response workflow work? We have 5 different fields. It starts with the intake, meaning that receiving the calls from the hotline. We have a verification system to make sure that the information that's reported is accurate and true. The intake team will use the verification to determine what action we should take or whether there's an action to be taken. And this action will be dispatched to the volunteers. This is really the stage where you come in, and then it ends with support for those impacted by ICE raids and referrals to them, referring them to other resources. So as I mentioned before, the dispatch step is where you all come in as a rapid response volunteer. What do rapid response volunteers do? The primary task for us is to bear witness through on-site documentation. This could be videos, photographs, or textual documentations. And the purposes are to put Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, and Customs and Border Protection, CPB, on notice that the community is watching and seeing them. We also provide accurate and timely education to inform the community on ICE/CPB activities on the island of Oahu. Our work is to support lawyers in providing evidence and other documents that would aid the defense of the detained individuals. And lastly, hold the governments of the migrants' home countries accountable to ensure the rights and welfare of their nationals. Besides participating in the dispatch rapid response team, you are also invited to become a core member. Core members operationalize our workflow. So you can join any of the committees above. Some examples include conducting on-site verification, providing translation and interpretation services, offering transportation to those impacted, educating the general public about their rights, doing court accompaniments, and so many other things. To be safe, as a rapid response volunteer, you must be aware of both the rights and recommendations for those being harassed by immigration agents and those engaging as witnesses of such actions. The first and most foremost thing to remember is that we all have constitutional rights, regardless of our immigration status. However, in order to maintain these rights, we have to exercise them. Now I have to move on to a very important step of how to identify an ICE operation. There are so many federal agents and agencies on our streets now. It's confusing, it's frightening, and keeps changing. So I'd like to back up a little bit and talk a little bit about the Department of Homeland Security. It was established by George W. Bush in 2002 as a direct response to the September 11th attacks. DHS combined 22 federal departments and agencies into a single cabinet-level department. The 22 agencies were previously under a variety of departments like Justice, Transportation, Agriculture, Health and Human Services, Energy, Defense, and General Services Administration. I mean, it includes things like supervising farming, disaster response, animal inspection, nuclear response. So you can see that it's a huge department that has swept up a lot of authority. Among these agencies, include two main agencies that handle immigration. CPB, which stands for Customs and Border Protection. This agency enforces immigration and customs laws at and near the airport, or near the border. They're stationed primarily at airports and ports of entries. CPB is responsible for upholding laws on the movement of human, drugs, and arms. The Border Patrol is part of CPB, and it conducts border control activities along the coast and land borders of the United States and Puerto Rico. The Border Patrol can question, detain, and arrest. Now, one thing to remember is that the border is defined as 100 miles around the U.S. border. This map shows that this 100-mile actually encompasses 2 out of 3 people living in the United States. And in fact, it encompasses the entire state of Hawaii. Probably the most infamous in the recent immigration raids is the organization ICE, which stands for Immigration and Custom Enforcement. It enforces immigration laws within the U.S., including investigating, arresting, detaining, and deporting non-citizens. ERO and HSI are a part of ICE. ERO stands for Enforcement and Removal Operation, is responsible for the apprehension, detention, and deportation removal of undocumented immigrants. HSI stands for Homeland Security Investigations. It investigates transnational crimes that threaten the U.S., such as upholding laws on the movement of humans and drugs, child exploitation, cybercrime, and financial crimes. So you've seen a number of photographs of what the typical uniform looks like, and here's one that's actually from the ICE website. However, currently ICE agents do not have to wear their official ICE uniforms. It is a federal requirement that immigration agents identify themselves as agents as soon as it is practical and safe to do so during an arrest. But the two quoted words, practical and safe, really leaves a lot to the discretion of the agents. I'm sure all of you have seen countless photographs and videos of ICE raids and ICE arrests, and you see people wearing all sorts of clothes. They're masked, they're wearing baseball caps, regular clothes that you can just get at the local Walmart. In fact, you can purchase fake ICE uniforms online. This has allowed criminals to pose as ICE agents, and they have already made a number of arrests on these fake agents in robberies and kidnappings. Another horrible factor is that other agencies outside of DHS has also been swept up into immigration raids. 3 examples are the DEA, the FBI, and the U.S. Marshal. The DEA stands for Drug Enforcement Agency, and it enforces U.S. controlled substance laws and enforces laws relating to drug trafficking. When these agencies with very different responsibilities are swept up to do Trump's bidding on his immigration crackdown, it leaves their regular jobs unattended. And there's evidence that many other crimes are just uninvestigated and completely unattended to. Another factor that helps us identify what is an ICE raid are the vehicles. ICE operations primarily use a variety of unmarked vehicles, including SUVs, sedans, and vans from common makes and models. These vehicles sometimes are rented, are often equipped with tinted windows with fake or no license plates. And these images on the slide are all actions that has taken place in Hawaii. The Honolulu Police Department works under the mayor of Honolulu. They are not supposed to be collaborating with ICE. That's their typical marked vehicle, but they also have unmarked vehicles as well. Even though they're not supposed to be collaborating with ICE, there have been reports that they have been cooperating with federal raids. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago on Maui, this is surveillance photographs at the Wailuku courthouse. It shows a Maui sheriff allowing plainclothes ICE agents in through a locked court door back entrance in order to arrest a migrant who was in the courthouse for a DUI infraction. One common mistaken identity is DLNR, which is the Department of Land and Natural Resources. These are agents that handle illegal fishing or illegal dumping at parks and things like that. So they have not been involved in ICE raids. Lastly, I want to end this part of the lesson just to remind all of us that under the Trump regime, rules are constantly changing and broken. At this point, please move on to take the test. I'll see you back at part 3.